Welcome to my views and news. Main news story is from the Oromia region of Ethiopia, where members of parliament, 90 members of parliament, have written a letter to Ethiopian PM Abiy and Ethiopian senior government figures. They want some actions from the government. They seem to be opposing military solution to the conflict between OLA and federal government, regional government. PM Abiy's government is gradually coming under pressure in Oromia, it seems. Secondly, protests have started in Washington, D.C., where PM Abiy is attending US-Africa summit. Pictures, videos are being shared. Oromos protesting, Tigrayans protesting, Amharas protesting, and thirdly, viewers, protests underway in Ethiopia, outside Ethiopia, and arrests as well. People are being arrested. We have been updating you. An educationist, an activist who was arrested a few months ago, and she remained in prison for more than a month, was arrested again today in Addis Ababa. And an Oromo singer, very active in social media, was arrested as well today. Firstly, viewers, Oromia region of Ethiopia, which is the new flashpoint, especially Valaga, though it has been destabilized for years. But now everyone is focused on Valaga. What is going to happen here? Talks or military action? That is what is being discussed. Government reportedly wants military action. Government, PM Abiy's government, his Amhara allies, forces, most senior commanders, they think that OLA must be weakened through military action. Like TPLF was weakened, and then talks can start. But it seems that the government is facing opposition in Oromia. We have seen that protests are ongoing in Oromia for almost a week. Protests ongoing at universities, in cities as well. Now, Parliament is becoming involved. Oromia region's members of parliament, they have written a letter to Ethiopian PM Abiy, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and other top officials. What is this letter about? 90 MPs have written this letter, viewers. And these MPs held some meetings last week, and then they decided to send a letter to Ethiopian government. They said that what was done in Tigray must be repeated in Oromia too. Peace deal, not the war. That the peace deal signed between TPLF and Ethiopian federal government, talks between TPLF and Ethiopian federal government, should be repeated in Oromia. Talks should be held between OLA and government. No military solution is the solution to conflict in Oromia. Secondly, the letter says that there must be solution to the issue of hoisting of a flag, playing of Oromia anthem in Addis Ababa, demarcation of Oromia Amhara border, issue of Wollo Oromos in Amhara should also be settled. Some key issues have been raised by these members of parliament. 10-point letter has been submitted to the government. The MPs have not held any presser so far, but they have confirmed, talking to the BBC, that they have submitted this letter to Ethiopian federal government. It means that it is going to become difficult for PM Abiy's government to launch a military operation in Oromia because dozens of members of parliament are opposing this operation. Oromia matters a lot for PM Abiy. If PM Abiy loses support of MPs from Oromia, obviously he could be in trouble politically. So that is why the government wants military action against OLA, but dozens of MPs seem to be opposing this operation against OLA. Government is gradually coming under pressure, especially if protests continue. If more MPs speak out, you could see increased pressure upon Ethiopian federal government, and the government could consider talks with Oromo Liberation Army. A rapidly evolving situation in the Oromia region of Ethiopia, largest region in terms of population. This region removed EPRDF after a state student movement. We know in 2018, EPRDF Prime Minister had to resign. So once again, the region is asserting itself. It is telling the government that Oromos should not be taken for granted. Secondly, viewers, second news story is about ongoing protests in Washington, D.C. PM Abiy is attending a summit there, US-Africa summit. Dozens of other African leaders are there in Washington, D.C., but Tigrayans, Oromos, Amharas, all are protesting outside the venue where summit is being held. Amharas are, we have not seen pictures of Amhara protests so far, but we have seen pictures of Tigrayans protesting there, and we have received a video of Oromos protesting as well. So, three major ethnic groups of Ethiopia, some of their factions are protesting against PM Abiy. They are calling PM Abiy a terrorist, a killer. We have a clip for you from Oromo demonstration in Washington, D.C. against PM Abiy. Watch this clip, the next news story.
Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is a terrorist. Stop Oromo genocide now. Stop genocide in Oromia now. Stop genocide Oromia in Ethiopia now.
Stop genocide in Oromia now.
Abiy Ahmed is a killer.
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 Terrorist Fano out of Oromia.
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 Amhara militia 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 out of Oromia.
Abiy Ahmed is a terrorist.
Abiy Ahmed is a terrorist.
Abiy Ahmed should not be invited. Abiy Ahmed cannot be invited.
Lastly, was both protests and arrests are going side by side. While people are protesting, government is busy arresting those who are protesting and who are backing these protests. What started in Tigray, what started about Tigrayans, that 2 years ago when the war broke out in northern Ethiopia, after that thousands of Tigrayans were arrested. Then came the turn of Amharas. At the start of this year, in April, I think, we saw a massive campaign in the Amhara region. Dissenting voices, activists, journalists, Fano fighters were arrested. And now, Oromos. They are the target of this campaign. 2 arrests today confirmed. Firstly, Meskiram Abira is an Ethiopian educationist and journalist and activist. She was arrested a few months ago, remained in prison. She wasn't charged, I think, so she was granted bail. She's very vocal. She speaks for the interests of the Amhara people. And again, today she was arrested. She was arrested in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital. Her husband has confirmed her arrest in Addis Ababa. Secondly, the Daro Takale singer, Oromo singer, not feeling well. Reportedly, he has been suffering from some health issues too, and he was arrested today as well. He's been very active in social media. So both Oromo, Amhara, supporters, activists, they're being arrested. Tigrayans already, some are still in prison, Tigrayans, some released. Like we know that some politicians even from Tigray, they're still in prison. Tigray Simba Party's leader from Erob is still in prison. And several others are in prison from Tigray. Now, same is happening with Amharas and Oromos. And it will go on if there is no permanent solution to the conflicts between regions and conflict between federal government and regional government. What is needed is holistic approach involving all players in national dialogue. National dialogue, not the one started by the government this year, no. National dialogue started with participation and trust of all players, armed groups, political parties, regional governments. This is the only solution. Otherwise, you'll keep on seeing what has been happening for years in Ethiopia. Thank you for watching.